massive update. It's been probably a week since we've done any filming, but I have been taking plenty of photos, so nothing's been missed. But basically at the point where we're about to weld up the frame with the new mounts on it. So as you can see, we've got the new billet engine mounts on there, where the old cast ones were. So they're all perfectly in line to suit the new R1 engine. All the airbox is in now. Made a little aluminium scoop on the front of the airbox for the air to come in over the top of the radiator. In the back here, modified the factory under tray and then made an aluminium base plate underneath it. So basically we've got the ABS unit, the battery, the little G-force unit or whatever it's called. I'll put the technical term for that under there. The X-up valve actuator there. The original brace on the frame here was just bent because they're made out of really flimsy aluminium, so we've replaced that with a new one. And just for giggles, we've added the toolkit for the new R1 in, which is basically 2 Allen keys. As you can see with these, linished back the original weld, so not going into the frame itself. And then this will get welded together here. So what we'll do is we'll tack it all in place so it doesn't move, but then jig it. And then remove everything, take the engine out, jig the frame with the engine out so that nothing can move, like jig the thing so it's rock solid, and then weld it all back together. Another thing we did earlier in the build was, because we're using the old head stem instead of the new one, because obviously the height difference. One thing I wanted to do was to replicate that. We'll make it look like the new one. The dimensions are all almost identical, it's just the length. But one thing I was concerned about was that this one here, even though nobody'd ever see it, has had a pretty hard life. Like there's little gouges out of it and all sorts of stuff where they've obviously used the incorrect tool to put a bearing on. Now I'm a bit of an OCD type mechanic, I like things done properly. So what I did was, I got another one from a wrecker in America, and then yesterday we put it in the mill and did that to it. So this will get sent off and anodized in hopefully the same colour. A pretty close copy of the new one. So that was just a little cool thing I wanted to do just to add to the whole build. So yeah, hopefully that'll be all done this week. But we're at the point now where once the engine's mounted in the bike, you can basically hang it under its own weight, take this stand off that's holding the engine up, and then I can hang the headers on it, make sure the catalytic converter's all going to fit, which in theory, by looking at it now, there was a bit of concern at first it wouldn't, but it looks like it'll come pretty close. From there, it's sort of happy days. We'll make sure we do a dummy assembly of the whole bike, make sure everything fits, and pull it all apart, send everything off to get painted, anodized, plated, and then put it all back together and she's done. So looking forward to that.
Here we go.
Alright, so it's like 5:30, coming towards pack up time. The bike now runs. We've done a dummy assemble on the bike, pretty much put as much stuff in as possible just to make sure that before we go ahead and paint everything, that everything works. And no ECU codes, everything's good. What I wanted to do to keep the engineer happy was to make sure we had the catalytic converter, the X-up valve, all the stuff that's factory on the bike still there, so it still meets emissions as per a normal new R1. Still noise levels all the same. And funnily enough, now what I'm doing is I've got the old fairings, which I kind of have to refit to the bike again because all the lower brackets and everything like that came off the old engine. So they're all different now. Plus the bracket here came off the old engine mount, which no longer exists, so I've got to make a new one for that. This is wider here, so I've had to scallop about out here. Scalloping a bit out of here, which luckily with a bit of work the belly pan will fit over the catalytic converter, so it hides the big ugly catalytic converter. We'll just have to put some heat shield inside it. But yeah, the beautiful thing is that this is going to look still very much like a 98 R1 until you sort of look up close and notice that it's got all these late model bits on it. So yeah, probably a couple of days and just getting everything sorted, and then strip the whole thing down again, get everything painted, do all the same modifications to the new fairings, and then just get them touched up and clear coated again, and then bike's finished. So getting there.